Hello and welcome to another expert interview. My name is John Golden from SalesPOP Online Sales Magazine and Pipeliner CRM. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Shep Hyken. Hey Shep, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing excellent. And Shep is the author of the great book, Be Amazing or Go Home. And this book is focused on customer service, right? And on really being amazing with your customer service. So tell me a little bit about where did you come up with the idea for the book
Sure.
and why?
Well, and this is a little bit different from the books that I've written in the past. This is a book that's really specifically aimed at a person, not really a company. Every book that I've written in the past, a company would want to buy and subscribe to the beliefs, and then they'd want to actually purchase the book, hopefully for their employees. Well, this book is really not so much about the company. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
It's about an individual's habits. And while I call them customer service habits, they're really, everybody has customers, whether they're internal or external, but also this is a book about good habits that could help in any relationship. The subtitle is actually 7 Customer Service Habits to Create Confidence with Everyone.
Right.
So kind of a fun story about how we came up with the title, Be Amazing or Go Home. Our mantra here at Shepherd Presentations, our company, is to be amazing. Always be amazing, we actually say. 3 words. And that means we want to be amazing to each other. We want to be amazing to our clients. And my business helps companies create amazing experiences for their customers. So we want to teach our clients to be amazing. And one day, my assistant showed up late. Now, not a big deal. She hadn't showed up late before. And then she showed up late the next day. And 3 times that week, she showed up late. And I thought, okay, do I say something to her? Maybe I'll talk to her next week. Let's see if this habit becomes, or if it becomes a habit. And sure enough, it did. The very next week, another 3 times. So I sat down with her and I go, you're late. What's going on here? And she had a lot of reasons for it happening. But I said, let me ask a question. What's our mantra here at Shepherd Presentations? She said, always be amazing. And I asked, is being late every day while you're my assistant representing me in front of the rest of our team, is that amazing behavior? And she said, not really. I said, exactly. So here's the choice. You need to be amazing or go home. And she smiled at me. And by the way, we had a great relationship. And she said, you know what? You should write that down. That is a great title for a book.
Right. There you go.
So it was about maybe September or so when this was happening. And I said, here's the deal. You need to fix this. And if you're here at the end of the year, it means you fixed it, and I'll give you a really big raise. And she was here at the end of the year, and she got a big raise, and she is amazing. She did eventually choose to go home because part of the reason she was late and it was difficult for her to get here on time is she used to live 2 miles away from the office, and she moved like 25 miles away. And it's not easy from where she lived to get here, and she was just trying to figure out just how early does she have to leave. But worse than that is she was going home late. She's been in 2.5 hours in her car every day. Right. Now, you're in California, is that right?
Yeah, I'm in San Diego.
Yeah. So that's normal, out there. Yeah, big deal, 2 hours in the car.
Yeah, that's a good day.
Yeah, that's a good day. But anyway, so she, we parted on great terms. But the truth of the matter is she turned out to be amazing. She turned it around. And that's when I realized amazement is a habit. And there's lots of good habits and there's some bad habits. So I chose a bunch of good habits and I came up with their 7 main themes of habits through the entire book. And then what I did is I said, okay, what 5 stories or little accolades or anecdotes, not accolades, anecdotes could I put into this to make it, a good book. And so there's the 5 supporting habits to each of the main overarching habits that we have. So
what
lots of good ideas.
Yeah. So what do you mean by amazing? So if somebody's listening to this, they go, yeah, it sounds great, but I mean, how can I be amazing every day? I mean, most people would settle for being decent every day, or pretty having good days, having a few good days, and generally, having a keeping it on a level, right? So what does amazing mean? So
amazing is not hard to achieve. As a matter of fact, it's real simple. Most people think that amazing is exactly like you're thinking, over the top, wow, blow me away. This is the most incredible experience. You're the most incredible person. How do you do it every single day? That is a daunting task. And I'll admit that even though I'm the chief amazement officer, I can't even do that. Okay. But what I can do is come to work. And when I do come to work, my goal is, I know what the bar is. The bar is average, okay? And people have created that bar. The expectation that people have of other people is very low.
Yep.
All I need to do is be a little bit better than that, just a tiny bit better than average. And I'm going to create amazement for my customers. Now, here's the key. Every day I come to school. I come to work that way. I come to work every day thinking I'm going to be as good today, if not better than I was yesterday.
Right.
And if I can even try and be better than yesterday, whether I hit it or not, doesn't matter. It's that effort. And again, it's the predictable and consistent above average experience that we create for others, whether they're our colleagues at work, whether our customers, even people at home, our kids, our families, our spouses, our partners. If we can create an above average experience, even just a little, it's always that way, we're going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept. I'm not going to name the airline, but the airline that I have spend most of my time traveling with, I always sort of say to people that if you set your expectations right on the floor, most of the times they'll meet that, and occasionally you'll get surprised because they'll just rise a slight bit above it. So, so what you're saying,
you know what? I think I know what that airline is. They have the motto, "We're not happy till you're not happy."
Yeah, exactly. So what you're saying for most people is that you look at, you maybe every day you look at, your contribution and just say, how can I kick that up a notch? How can I go in and say, I want to do, maybe yesterday I did a good job, but today I want to do an even better job. And I guess it's setting the expectation with yourself that you are
Yes.
going to be the one to raise the bar.
Right. So one of my favorite chapters, it's at the very, very end, is that it's sweep like Beethoven plays piano. And it's basically that, and there's I'm going to actually jump to it because it's really good. I think anyway, I wrote it, but it comes from the habit that, you should make excellence a habit, because I believe it was it Aristotle that said something about excellence? So amazing people habitually focus on excellence. And so here is the quote, and it comes from Martin Luther King Jr. And if a man is called to be a street sweeper, he should sweep streets even as Michelangelo painted, or Beethoven composed music, or Shakespeare wrote poetry. He should sweep streets so well that all the hosts of heaven and earth will pause to say, here lived a great street sweeper who did his job well. I mean, regardless of what you do, just do it well. Take pride in what you do. And I think that's so important. Excellence truly is a habit. It's one that you practice. And if you do things over and over again, all of a sudden you find like, wow, this seems like common sense to me today.
Well, we know common sense, don't we? It's not that common, right?
It's not that common. Common sense is not always so common.
So how do you then? So one of the issues I think that a lot of people face is that we live in a culture, maybe a pervading culture today, that's maybe, settles for less. Is a shortcut culture, maybe a little bit lazy at times, and this idea of being excellent, it's not really one that's pushed on them. I mean, and as I said, the pervasive culture seems to be, there's an easy way to do that, or you can take a shortcut, or you don't need to push yourself.
I'm all for shortcuts. I'm all for easier ways, provided they don't interfere with what a customer or a colleague might be perceived as excellence. And again, I want to emphasize, as you use words like excellence and amazing and even the word wow, for that to happen, it just needs to be a little bit better than average all of the time.
Right.
And I'm going to jump over, and I don't want to get off your question here, but think about Nordstrom. If you've ever shopped at a Nordstrom store, it's an amazing experience. Mm-hmm. There's lots of salespeople there. Every time you turn around, somebody seems to be there to help you out, even on busy days. And that's one of their secret sauces, is that they make sure there's people there to help you. And of course, they train them. They hire good people to begin with. So is that truly over-the-top, blow-me-away service? Only when you compare it to some of the other retailers you go to, okay? Exactly. But at the end of the day, it's really not that big of a deal to do what it is that they do. J.D. Power did a survey on what consumers expected when they bought an automobile and then took it in for service. And what they hope is that, number one, it's easy to make a reservation, car service. When you show up on the day you're supposed to do it, they're expecting you. They know you're coming. That they complete the work in the time they said it would be completed. They call you to tell you it's ready and how much it's going to be. And when you go to pick it up, not only is the car fixed, but it's also clean.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to me, that's like, okay. Now, I realize if I'm buying a really low-end car, they may not wash my car when I come in for an oil change. I get it. But the rest of it, how hard is that to do? Well, believe it or not, there's only a small percentage of automobile dealerships that hit that criteria consistently. And I don't understand something that easy. Once again, common sense or something common like that should be a little bit more common than it is.
So why do you think that is then? Why do you think it is that, in your example there, which I think is a great one, there's a few simple steps that we'd all feel good about. Yeah, how was your service experience? It was great. Everything went the way it was supposed to. And that's what most of the time, we just want everything to work the way it should, right? We're not expecting anything out of the ordinary. It's nice if you get it. But then why is it so hard to deliver on basic expectations?
Well, I think part of it is sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. You wonder why don't they when it happens, and that's the problem. It's not are they capable of it, because most likely they are.
Mm-hmm.
It's when they slip, and sometimes they consistently slip, or they do it so often that you have no idea which experience you're going to have when you go in. It erodes confidence. And by the way, no confidence means no loyalty whatsoever to that company. So I think one of the problems and what causes people to slip, and I just heard a great quote, and I know I'm not going to get it right. I don't even know who said it, but somebody said that when it comes to success, most people are not resilient enough to, let's see, what's the word I'm looking for? Gosh, now I'm going to lose it. They're not resilient. Oh, to put up with the monotony of success. And what that means, what that means is when you're trained to do something, you're trained to do it. You're trained to do it right. Okay, now it's working. Now it's working. Now I'm getting more comfortable. Now I'm starting to slip because I'm so comfortable and casual. I'm not focused on those routine or those little tiny details or the system that makes it a success. The best excuse or example is an excuse that was given me the other day. We had somebody here in the office, and I looked at my numbers. I go, my numbers are down in this area. What's happening? I'm not sure. I go, are we doing the same thing we used to do all the time, or have we changed something? And she said, well, we made a change. What do we decide to do with that change? Well, we decided we're not doing it as much as we should. And that's why our numbers are slipping. Did anybody want to talk about this before we made the decision? No. Well, what happened was it was a monotonous routine.
Right.
And it just seemed, it's not that important if we miss. It's like a diet. Okay. Yeah. And by the way, I can admit I could probably lose 5 or 7 pounds. I'll probably look a little bit better. It's hard to fix what I have here. I know okay, it's not great. I just got to live with it. But losing a couple of pounds wouldn't hurt. But here's the thing. So if I'm on a diet and I decide I want to eat dessert one night, that's not the problem. One night is not the problem. It's 2 or 3 nights later when I say I'll do it again, and I'll do it again. Now I'm slipping into this habit. It's a bad habit. I think that's what's happening here. That's why Be Amazing or Go Home is about habits that people have to create amazement. Is because you just got to keep up that habit. It's not easy.
Yeah, and I think kind of what you're getting at here is that for most customers to have a good experience, it's a repeatable and predictable process they go through, right? And then that's what you're talking about here about monotony and mundane. Maybe it's monotonous and mundane to deliver a repeatable, predictable experience every day, day in, day out.
But not to the customer.
But not to the customer. And I think that's a fantastic point there, because I think you're right. I think that maybe people start to try and even improve the experience without realizing that they may actually be harming it because they're taking out some of the predictability.
Yeah, and by the way, having the most amazing over-the-top experience one time and just getting a little bit better than average the next time is blowing the consistency. Many, many years ago, I used to do magic shows. Matter of fact, a lot of my good habits that I picked up were from my parents when I was doing children's birthday parties when I was like 12, 13, 14. Make sure you write a thank you note. Make sure you always show early. My dad used to say, I know you're going to be tired on the 7th or 8th show of that weekend, but realize that audience, they don't know that you've been doing 6 or 7 shows. They don't care that you've been doing it. You need to deliver. So cut to just getting out of college. I started working when I started my speaking career. I don't know how it happened, but I got hired to do some trade shows. Now, what that meant as a magician, I would stand at the exhibit
Sure.
and I would talk about the company and talk about the products, the speaking part of the business, but I'd also entertain people. And sometimes I would do 12 shows a day,
Right.
15, 20 minutes long. That's a grind. I had one client that would send me to trade shows 3 to 4 times a year that were 10 days long. So at the end of the 10 days, I would have done at least 120 shows. One day a client said to me, how is it that on the 120th show, you are just as excited as the first one?
Mm-hmm.
I realized this is what my dad taught me. Now, there was something else that I factored into it, which was motivation. I was getting paid a tremendous amount of money for something I love to do.
Right.
Tremendous by my standards
Sure.
at the time. Okay. And really, whether I was paid $1 or $1 million, the fact that I was paid for something I love to do. So what I did is I said, okay, how much am I going to make in the 10 days? I'm going to divide it by 120. I'm getting paid pretty well to stand up here. I better keep doing this because I don't want to lose my job.
Yeah.
So that was part of the motivation. But a lot of it was the good habit that I had instilled in me from a young age that, you know what, on the 120th time, on Friday, you should be just as excited about going to work as on Monday.
Right.
You know, that's the kind of routine we need to get into, the kind of thinking.
Yeah, I love that. Fortunately, the only magic trick I know is how to make money disappear from my account, but and nobody's paying me to see that.
Yeah, you know how to turn into a bar every night.
But that's it. But that's a, and I just think this is a fascinating point because I get back to what I was saying earlier about, and I'm fascinated, to be honest, from culture and how culture changes and all of that, and I do think that what you're saying is commitment. It's also hard work, right? It's, let's face it, on your 10th show of the day, right? It's hard work to be excited, right? But
well, it's part of my job.
But it's part of your job. But
right.
that's what I'm saying is I think some of this boils down to we've lost the celebration of hard work.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. We've lost the celebration of hard work. I think there's pride that's involved. There's no doubt about that. There's ego to the point, which I think ties into pride. Like, I don't want to let anybody down. That's not me. I don't want to be seen as someone else who would do that. So you take pride in what you do. Put forth the effort that you have. So I always talk about putting forth your best effort. Richard Burton, and there's a habit in the book about, I don't remember, I refer to it as like the Richard Burton way of thinking. And so many people don't know who Richard Burton is. I'll bet you know who Richard Burton is.
I do, yes.
2 reasons. Number one, he's from where you live.
Well, he's Welsh, so he's close.
Yeah, close enough.
He's Celtic too, so.
Celtic too, yeah, there you go. And we're of the age that we know Richard Burton. A lot of younger people have no idea who this is. This guy was known for many, many things in his life, many problems he had in his life. But as a professional, he was known as a
phenomenal actor. Yeah.
Phenomenal on TV, movies, stage. Best work on stage.
Shakespeare.
And he would walk out night after night and deliver unbelievable performances in spite of what was going on in his life. And this was his attitude. I want to be so good tonight that I cheat the audience that was here the night before. Wow. Now think about that. That's like coming to work every day saying, I'm going to do better today than yesterday. Did he hit it? I don't think he hit it every single time, but I know he tried to hit it. There were moments he said, oh, I nailed the part tonight, or I nailed that place tonight. That one moment was so good. So, and the point of that is, you're not going to be your best every day, but if you try to be your best, that's great. I could think of any sports team. There's always, if it's a team and it's a contest between either two people or many people playing against each other, there's going to be winners and losers. Mm-hmm. At the professional level that many of these players play, and let's just go to like, the World Series or the Stanley Cup Finals or, the NFL Super Bowl. When those two teams are competing, the loser seldom ever walks away saying, I didn't really try real hard today. I just phoned it in. No, they gave their best. And by the way, their fans, even though they lost, loved that they went in there and they competed at the level that they did. Yeah. And that's the point. You need to go out there and you need to deliver the best you can do based on what you have available, based on what you're capable of doing, because nobody's going to fault you for trying really, really hard.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's, when you take the sports analogy, I think fans appreciate honesty. So if they see that the team left it all on the field or the court or whatever, and they lost, they'll go, okay, they were bested on the day, but they gave it their best shot.
Yep.
But people won't accept a lack of effort, right? And I think that's what you're saying here. If you go to work every day, and when you're, whatever you're doing, and especially if you're dealing with customers, if you put in the effort, people will respect that.
Yeah, and I mean, if you think about it, that's why the great players, when they're having an off day or they go through a streak where it looks like they're not putting forth the effort, the coach benches them.
Mm-hmm.
That's why people get sacked, people get fired, because they weren't doing the job, they weren't putting out the way they should, they weren't. And you compare them to others. Say, you know what? You came here, you had the right attitude. What happened? Complacency set in. The system set in, you got bored with the system, you weren't excited about it anymore. And by the way, one of the things, and this doesn't really have anything to do with the book, I wrote about it in another book, the concept of a culture of what I call a fun culture, serious fun. But fun is not fun, haha, let's have a party.
Right.
Fun is an acronym which stands for fulfillment, uniqueness, and next. And by fulfillment, if you come to work and you feel good about what you do, you love what you do, and one of the things we do here at Shepherd Presentations is we find out what people love to do more than anything else. For example, Cindy, who you talked to in
Sure.
setting up this interview, she loves social media. So a big part of her job is reputation management and social media. She is our director of reputation. Stephanie loves video. So at least about 15-20% of her day,
Right.
she's doing something on video. And so everybody has their favorite thing to do, what they're best at, what they're uniquely talented to do, and we give them that fulfilling moment there. And then the same thing, U stands for uniqueness, which is we exploit that uniqueness and let them use it. Or maybe it's somebody that speaks fluent Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Gosh, let's let them call some people and who clients we wouldn't normally talk to.
Sure.
Let's never talk to them in Spanish, because I don't talk Spanish. I'd love to talk Spanish with very few words. And then next. Do we get them excited about what's next? Is it the next project? Is it the next, what's coming up next year? What's new and exciting in the company? And maybe they're just so excited about working there, they're excited about the next day.
Right.
Fulfillment, uniqueness, and next. You create a culture like that, people are going to come out and they want to give you your best.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, Shep, listen, we're bumping against the end of our time here. What I wanted to do,
we're having too much fun.
I know it is. We have to do this. We have to do part 2. Sometime soon. But I wanted to give you a few seconds to tell the audience a little bit about you, your company, and how they can find out more about you.
Oh, wow, thanks. So the best way to describe what we do is if you said, Shep, what do you do? I'll ask you a question. Have you ever walked away from a business or hung up a phone? It doesn't matter if it's a retailer, if it's a manufacturer you're doing, in the B2B world, and you go, wow, those people are amazing. Mm-hmm. Well, that's what we help our clients achieve. Right. We teach them to deliver an amazing customer experience. Sometimes it's direct people to people. Sometimes we're talking about the systems that they have, but that's what it's all about. And that's why our mantra is always be amazing, as I explained before. So I'm a speaker, so I'm hired to go out and do speeches. We have trainers. We have online training. You go to hyken.com, hyken.com. You can learn about our product and click on where it says online training if you want to learn about that. That's my new favorite, exciting part of the company. We've been doing it now for almost 6 years, but it's still new to me. And of course, I write books. Mm-hmm. And this is, I've written 11 books. This is the 6th one that I've solo authored on my own. Mm-hmm. So it's Be Amazing or Go Home. And the last book was titled, I should know this. Amaze every customer every time. Right. And one before that, The Amazement Revolution. You see, there's a theme here, the word amazing for the last 3 books. But I have fun with it. And it's all about creating a great experience for customers and people you work with. So, that's it. I hope you join me. Hyken.com. Follow me, Twitter at Hyken, Hyken. And go to Amazon and check out the books.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll also be on our SalesPOP bookstore as well, so you can check it out there. And just the last question, can we still hire you as a magician, or have you hung up your wand?
You can hire me as a magician if you pay me the same as you do in my speaking engagement. But I promise you this, the tricks will be amazing. I guarantee.
I'm pretty sure. Okay, so listen, Shep, again, it's been fantastic. Shep Hyken, great interview. We could talk for hours, I'm sure. This is John Golden from SalesPOP Online Sales Magazine and Pipeliner CRM, and I'll see you for another expert interview real soon.